Let's be very honest. PlayStation has gotten a lot of positive accolades in the last few years. The media is pro PlayStation. Ideally, almost anywhere you look, a lot of stuff is pro PlayStation. However, it seems to me like they've been slipping on some issues. But I'm not really too concerned about a lot of them. They're just specific ones that I've set my contents to point out. And as a PlayStation user, I feel like I'm in a solid position to do so because I've experienced some of these issues as a customer. To that, I've seen some PlayStation fans say that this channel is a PlayStation hate channel. I think what's going on is the criticisms seem like it's cutting more than anything else because for the most part, a lot of PlayStation players have been used to the positive outlook on PlayStation. So when I levy my criticisms, it almost seems like going against the grain is, in a sense, discrimination. That's how it can feel. But I want to say this particular notion needs to first be put in a perspective of these companies don't care about any of us. That's just the very first thing we have to understand and realize. To them, we are CVV and expiration date. That's all they see. So one of the best things that I feel like I've done is remove brand loyalty from any equation as I talk about these matters. I saw a comment from one of my audience members say, it seems like your content is hateful towards PlayStation players. That's impossible. My biggest community of gamers is on PlayStation. You just don't know because you watch the Video Game Fight School channel. But if you watch me from the Gamer Dad channel and you know that I played the Division there, the community of Division players that I actually play and run the game with are PlayStation players. So if that's probably shocking to some of you, then I can understand because it's a piece of the context that you were not aware of. Now, I own another gaming channel. It's probably, if you're interested in it, you would have found it by now. I'm on a hiatus from there. But on that gaming channel, I do play Tom Clancy's The Division. And I've said this before. I made this video before, but it seems like I got to make it over and over and over again. On this channel, what I actually do is, I cover Division content whenever I'm active on it. And I run the game and play the game with friends that, in a sense, engage the game with me. And that entire community of gamers are all PlayStation players. That is the community that I feel like I hold the highest respect for. And we do have a clan of gamers that actually play the game and run the game together. In fact, when I post my videos, it actually goes straight to the YouTube content piece of that clan server. And I'm not the one that runs the server. It's actually run by community members and a couple of friends of mine. Even my latest video was posted on there. And this is a general PlayStation server. So for those people who say that I have some hatred towards PlayStation gamers, I think that particular claim is just wild. It's off the cuff. My gripe is PlayStation and their anti-consumer stance that they have taken in the last few years. Just because I'm a PlayStation fan doesn't mean I'm going to let their own practices that are not consumer friendly slide. And this is how I want to take the approach. I say all this because we're about to get into the PS5 Pro conversation. And I know that people are going to say, you're hating on PlayStation, you're an Xbot. And I don't want you to think I'm attacking you. You can say whatever you want, but the truth has got to come out. Because at the end of the day, we got to be able to say what's true. And we got to be able to be comfortable with what's true. Even after the truth may be a little jarring, it just has to come from that place where we look and say we're looking for the very best benefit. I feel like Sony played us with the PS5 Pro. It did the exact same thing or a similar thing that AMD did at one time. Now, PlayStation players, again, like I said, you've been in a very, you've been handled with soft gloves. PlayStation as a whole as a brand. But those of us that have been playing on different platforms and seeing this stuff, we've seen the madness that can happen. And the cynicism, or I guess I say the criticism or the critical stance that we hold is to ensure that consumers are protected at the end of the day. When AMD brought out the 7900 XTX and the 7900 XT, or its high-end GPUs from this generation, it promised FSR 3. And FSR 3 did not come out for at least almost another year. I feel like the PS5 Pro is basically a similar paradigm, where you have PSSR that is pretty much on a beta level of quality. It's still being tested. It hasn't been standardized. And it comes at a time where developers have already locked their game to a base PS5 and moved on. For them to come back is just an opportunity for them to weigh their costs and say, are we going to sell more copies? If they are, they'll try their best to use PSSR as a marketing term. Or if not, they'll do whatever kind of job, a shoddy job, and walk away. There are many parameters here. Another thing, too, is they've also fooled people, and I don't think they intended to, but you also have a lot of hyper fanboys, into thinking that they can hang their performance expectations on upscaling. Upscaling is kind of weird. Like, if you think about it, you know, you're taking an image, a video image, not a static image, a video image, and you're trying to take it from a lower resolution and then blow it up, which it will lose quality. And then you're trying to take an AI, system to try to fill in the loss of quality. This is going to respond and react in all kinds of weird ways. We've gone through it on PC. This is why a lot of PC players do not use DLSS or frame gen or whatever it is, because we understand that the technology is one that has to account for many other technologies that would work with it. I mean, just think about just lately, the number of games that have shown hit or miss in terms of PSSR. Unreal Engine doesn't like it. Epic Games didn't touch it. They walked away from it. Blubber, I don't know how you say it. The developers of Silent Hill 2, they went back and they removed it. And now we're seeing Avatar, which is made with Snowdrop's engine. I remember when Blubber removed it, everybody said it's because they don't know how to use it. And, when Star Wars Jedi Survivor, had it on, they were like, it's because, of Unreal Engine, and all of these conversations were going on. But now you have Ubisoft Massive in a place where, according to Digital Foundry, they've said Avatar is the latest PS5 Pro patch that looks worse than the base PS5 game. Why is this happening? Should Sony step in, and can it be fixed? This is a very complex issue because, as I said, and I started this video with that, I covered the Division content. The Division 1 and the Division 2 are two of the best looking games in the industry. There is no question about it. I'm not saying that they're the best. I said they're just two of the best. So it could be of the best 100 looking games or the best 10 looking games in your book. But if you walk through the city of New York and Washington, D.C. in these two games, there is not a doubt in my mind that you will be impressed. This Ubisoft's engine, for some reason, can render a game so good looking, it's wild. And you know what's crazy? A lot of the developers that would fall into the pipeline of Ubisoft need to know at least Unreal Engine before they train them in Snowdrop, because Snowdrop is a C++ engine from what I've heard. Now, to see Avatar in this particular situation is a little weird, but the technology is hanging on the perspective of an upscaler that is required to do specific levels of work or specific tasks that if the hardware is not available to complement it, you might run into issues depending on the game that's trying to execute it. And that's just it. In this week's DF, we talked about the mooted PlayStation 5, blah, 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 blah. But in our second new topic, I'll be writing about more depth today, Avatar's Frontier of Pandora, and its spec points look impressive. You're getting the quality mode visuals of the base console version at 60 FPS. There's just one problem. The Pro version looks a lot worse than the standard console's quality mode, and even its performance mode has some quality advantages over the Pro version, in which case, what's the point? Again, like I said, I feel like we were played. Console gaming is a very interesting ecosystem platform that I will be the first to tell you that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, both of them are very impressive in what they could do as a base device. However, the closed ecosystem nature of the console really locks you in a position where you really can't do much. And so now you're stuck here. If you bought this $700 device and maybe you like to play a game like Avatar and you see this, you're going to be asking or wondering why. In some games, PSSR will work. It's going to do a good job. But again, like I said, there's a plethora of technologies out there used to make these video games that you're going to hit discrepancies. And a lot of these technologies are tuned with a base level of just raw hardware power being able to at least allow for you to get a good gaming experience. And this is why you cannot always just trade power, raw power, for anything else. AMD and Nvidia played this game for so many years, from the 20 series all the way through the 30 series and now to the 40 series, and they're going to the 50 series. And I can tell you that a lot of what they put out were scams. I have a 4090, I have a 4080, and I can tell you that the 4090 was a straight scam. In terms of cost to performance ratio, I will never recommend it for a regular gamer. The reason we have it here in the Video Game 5 School Lab is simply because we use it for tasks, rendering tasks that will save us time. It's a business expense. If you're getting it out of your own personal pocket and you don't have, a business structure to be able to account for it, it doesn't make any sense. So I'll be the first to even tell you that. And so I see no reason why we can't say that the PlayStation 5 Pro is also falling into that category. Now, are there times where playing on the 4090 is a delicious experience with some games that are super duper optimized? Heck yeah. Where ray tracing is just so delicious? Of course. But still, those instances are one out of a number of instances that you would rather just benefit from getting almost any other GPU at a fraction of that cost to be able to enjoy a similar experience. And so now that we're seeing the PlayStation 5 get through this kind of grilling, some people are not taking it well. Now, here's the thing. I think this should be a lesson more than anything else. When you buy hardware, one of the first things you want to do is you want to ensure that somebody else takes the hit. If you notice, the PlayStation 5 Pro did not have many hardware metrics before launch. There wasn't a lot of information out there. I don't know if you realize that. And the reason I think that the information was kind of sparse was simply because they wanted people to go ahead and buy before the information came out as much. If you think about, say, Intel Battlemage, this is how they advertise hardware on the PC side. And I've shown you guys this stuff before with AMD's 9800X 3D, right? When they came with the 9800X 3D, they just brought receipts immediately on the forefront. They immediately said this particular thing is going to perform better than all of these other devices, all of these other CPUs, Intel CPUs and all of the above. They straight up just said it. In the case of Battlemage, they came out and they put the images and said, here, this is the best in class, GPU from a cost to performance for dollar. In ray tracing, it does better than this GPU and this GPU up to this percentage. And then they put a chart that showed how it does and what the FPS was in different graphs for different games. It's right here. Let me see if I can pull it. There it is. They showed it right here. It is 10% faster than the NVIDIA RTX 4060. Literally how they brought it out. And people are probably going to be able to buy on these metrics, but some people will still wait for the B580 to get tested across the board to see if this data correlates with Intel's data. And if it doesn't correlate with Intel's data, then we can say, boo, you're a fugazi. But most PlayStation hyper fans would not stay quiet long enough for this same process to happen with the PS5 Pro. So they tried to gaslight everybody to their shame. They tried to insult everybody that was trying to provide information out there. And so here's where we are, where the upscaler in some instances is doing well, but now in some, what I think are, important critical instances where it should shine, it seems to be failing. Games that are pushing the envelope, Alan Wake 2. People said, well, that game is not optimized for, how about Avatar? That game that everybody praised and said, this game is running so well on all of these platforms. But now here we are. PSSR is not giving much in terms of that. I don't know what else to say in this situation. It's just strange at the end of the day that we could not have sensible conversations a few weeks ago. But now I think this is a learning moment more than anything. I'll continue this video because this has already gone on long enough, and I really want to talk about this in better detail. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.